Friends, we gather together this afternoon to celebrate the life and to honor the memory of Maureve Goldhamer. Maureve's family so very much appreciates your presence here this afternoon in numbers that we did not anticipate. So once again, thank you so much for everyone's being here. Your presence brings the family a great deal of comfort and support. O Lord, what are we that you have regard for us? What are we that you are mindful of us? We are like a breath. Our days are as a passing shadow. We come and we go like grass, which in the morning shoots up renewed, in the evening it fades and it withers. You cause us to turn to dust, saying, "Return, you mortal creatures." Would that we were wise, that we understood whither we are going. For when we die, we carry nothing away. Our glory does not accompany us. Mark the wholehearted and behold the upright. They shall have peace. There are 150 Psalms in the biblical book of Psalms. If we read them through, we get the sense that they are randomly put together. But in fact, there is a narrative that works its way through these 150 Psalms. And Psalm 1, in a way, is a kind of summary of the message of the Psalms. How is it that we can live a flourishing life? Happy are those who have not followed the counsel of the wicked, or taken the path of sinners, or joined the company of the insolent. Rather, the teaching of God is their delight, and they study that teaching day and night. They are like a tree planted beside streams of water that yields its fruit in its season, whose foliage never fades, and whose fruit always flourishes. Perhaps you will agree with me that there are at least two kinds of optimism. What I will call naive optimism and sophisticated optimism. Naive optimism feels that really there are going to be no problems, that we're going to sail through life and everything is just going to be wonderful. The author of the 23rd Psalm is anything but naive, because that author recognizes that there are deep, persisting, intractable problems in our lives, and it tells us that God is not going to solve them for us. But nevertheless, and that's the key word, nevertheless, we can live optimistic, hopeful, forward-looking lives. This is one of the reasons the 23rd Psalm is not only famous, but deservedly famous. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Kohelet, the author of the biblical book of Ecclesiastes, in another famous passage, reminds us that for everything there is a season, a time for every experience under the heavens, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot what is planted, a time to tear down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to grieve and a time to dance, a time to throw stones and a time to gather stones, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to seek and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to discard, a time to tear and a time to sow, a time to keep silence and a time to speak. Maureve Goldhamer died this past Wednesday at the age of 86. She lived a long and full life, and those who admired and loved her will never forget her. When I met with Maureve's family yesterday afternoon, the first thing I asked them was to describe her to me. And then they came forth with a variety of adjectives in an attempt, which they knew to be futile, to describe adequately this wonderful woman. They told me that she was dynamic, empathetic, a whirlwind of activity, intense, focused, generous, in a word, over the top. Maureve graduated from Cleveland Heights High School and went on to study at Western Reserve University, where she received her bachelor's degree. She then spent several years teaching at an elementary school, where quite evidently she loved her role and she loved her students. After some years, Maureve decided to go back to graduate school, which she did, at Goddard College online, from which she received a master's degree in clinical psychology. And then from 1965 to 2015, she had a thriving private practice as a marriage and family psychotherapist, where, in the words of the family, and I quote them, she helped so many individuals and couples and changed many lives. For Maureve was single-mindedly devoted to her work and to her clients. She had her skills and her devotion, as her family described it again, I quote them, in her bones. And as a sign of her commitment, Maureve would often interrupt her home life and her time with her family to run upstairs to take a call from a client. Perhaps part of her consummate skills as a therapist derived from her own experiences, which undoubtedly gave her a deep understanding of the human condition, its problems, and its prospects. Indeed, Maureve seemed to have brought her full capacities of mind and heart to her work with others. And everyone seemed to know Maureve. In stores and in restaurants, people would regularly come up to say hello to her and often to tell her how much she had meant to them. And when a friend or a family member had a need, Maureve was often the first person to reach out to them with understanding and with empathy. When during our conversation yesterday, I asked the family whether Maureve had any hobbies, they answered yes. Her husband, Stanley, of blessed memory, was her hobby. Now, perhaps in talking about Maureve's devotion to her husband, her family may not themselves have used the word hobby, but it seems to me that hobby is something that someone is passionate about and for its own sake. And Maureve, as I heard it, was single-mindedly devoted to Stanley. Indeed, they had a wonderful marriage. They worked extremely well together for all of 52 years before Stanley died in 2016. And Maureve enjoyed her grandchildren, especially when she was with them at Chautauqua in the summer. Chautauqua is not only a place where family could spend quality time together, it was also a kind of sanctuary for Maureve, a place where the pace of her life slowed down and where she found the respite that she needed. Maureve is survived by her daughter Kim and her son John, and by her son-in-law Brian, by her stepchildren Lauren and David and their spouses David and Mary Ellen, by her brother Howard and her sister-in-law Donna, and by her grandchildren Sam and Lisa, Hallie and Shane, Jordan, Alexandra and Abigail, and by her great-grandson August, and by her cherished companion, Stevie. She was also close to her nieces and her nephews, all of whom had a special place within her heart. Maureve was predeceased by her husband Stanley and by her parents, Carl and Alma. Maureve Goldhamer lived a long and a full life. She raised a fine family, flourished in her profession, through which she helped countless people, and she lived to see the flourishing of her grandchildren. Those who loved and admired her will never forget her. Zichrona livracha, her memory will always be our blessing. Amen. I now want to call on two people who will reflect on the life, the qualities, the accomplishments of Maureve Goldhamer. First, her son, John.
Wow. All right, I'm going to try to get through this. First of all, I'd like to thank my mom's caregivers, Jackie and Lisa, who worked tirelessly for the last couple of years to enrich my mom's life, provide care, companionship, and love, and endure my mom's repeated nonstop requests to watch the same 4 to 5 movies over and over and over. I kid you not, I think I've seen Pretty Woman 1,000 times. I can't tell you, I just said that about Pretty Woman, Beauty and the Beast, Cinderella, and any Gerard Butler movie. And, of course, Lady Sings the Blues. She knew all the words to Pretty Woman. She loved fantasizing about being a princess. My mom was a true force of nature, possessing an exceptionally strong, dynamic, and often uncontrollable personality and character. Energetic, assertive, and difficult to resist or contain. A 4'11" tsunami of a woman. In Hebrew, the phrase tikkun olam means repairing the world. The phrase has many interpretations. However, when it comes to my mom, she was able to achieve this most notably in her work as a renowned marriage and family therapist. Throughout my life, when people would ask my last name and I said Goldhamer, more often than not, they'd ask, "Are you Maureve's son?" I knew right away they were clients of my mother's. I swear, half the city of Cleveland saw my mom as a client. Do you know how often I heard, "Your mom saved my marriage, saved my family, helped me overcome this or that, helped shape my identity, this or that, or ultimately saved my life"? What a sense of pride I felt at these moments to hear her child, the son of 18K, 18 karat, as one of her clients referred to her as. She was equally passionate about her family, if not more. Mom intensely loved my dad, her superhero of a husband of 52 years. Lovingly, she drove him crazy, kept him busy with chores, tasks. Candidly, my dad could fix and solve everything and anything, but their roles were clearly defined. My mother was the emotional and psychological relationship expert, where my dad did everything else. Jokingly, my mom gave my dad no peace and quiet. I can still hear her shrieking, "Stanley!" Those of you who knew my parents will remember in Chautauqua, her respite, her place of peace. In Chautauqua, favorite place to escape. With my dad on the dock and my mom inside the house, she would constantly yell to him that she needed his assistance. No relaxing for my dad, but they were a team, the best ever. Mom cherished all her children, both biological, Kim and myself, and Lauren and David from my dad's first marriage. She treated and viewed Lauren and David as her own. As a matter of fact, they went on Mom and Dad's honeymoon. She adored all of her grandchildren that Lauren and David had provided: Sam, Hallie, Jordan, Alex, and Abby. Then there was my sister Kim. They shared such a special bond. I can't tell you how many times my mom came to Kim's rescue. I was warned not to go into any details, so I will not. Their bond was so unique that oftentimes I thought they were sisters as opposed to mother-daughter. Kim was gracious enough and felt very strongly to have my mom live with her and her husband Brian in her final 5 years. She felt my mom would better thrive in this environment surrounded by family as opposed to a cold and sterile facility, and she did. Mom was also thrilled that Kim found her Prince Charming in her husband Brian. It was my mom's life dream that Kim would marry. Mom, being mom, went as far as signing Kim up to numerous dating sites, writing her bio, and even answering Kim's suitors' emails. Again, Mom would do anything to help her children, even pose as one, to fulfill her dream of marriage for her daughter. Then there was me, her baby boy. At my youth soccer and softball games, you always knew who my mother was, as she would be the loudest cheerleader exalting my prowess on the field. Not true. I wasn't the prowess. All you heard was, "Johnny, come on, Johnny." It was a joke by my friends because they would call me Johnny very loudly to mimic my mother. Yes, it was very embarrassing, but she was so proud of me and wanted to let everyone know that I was her baby boy. In my adult years, she never wavered in her unconditional love and support. Whatever decision I made, she was my biggest cheerleader. Just hearing her voice provided me comfort and solace. Recently, I've had my own life challenges. However, she always asked me what she could do to make things better. It killed her to see me hurting. To make things better. What I needed, what she could do, take that back. She always asked what she could do to heal or fix my situation. Although she was dying, she was more concerned about my happiness and well-being. Tikkun Olam. I call her every day for the last several years to tell her how much I loved her. She'd say, "I love you more." I'd always say, "No, I love you more," until she could no longer communicate any longer. I'll miss hearing this and being loved so much. Thank you for being the best mommy any baby boy could ask for. I'm so fortunate to be Maureve's son. I'm certain in heaven she's psychoanalyzing everybody. May her memory forever be a blessing. I love you, Mom.
Now I want to call on Maureve's son-in-law, Brian.
Thanks, everyone, for coming. Tough thing. As John said, the relationship that Maureve Kim had, it was nothing like I'd seen before. It was much more than just your mother-daughter relationship, truly best of friends. They were inseparable, and their bond was unbreakable. Now, Kim and I had met in January 2020. Soon after, I met Maureve, and just like her daughter, I fell in love. The three of us hung out on weekends, snuggled in bed, ordered food, and watched movies. I think what I liked most about that is now they had me to go pick up food as opposed to ordering. When we had met, it had been 4 years since Stanley's passing. Maureve was still grieving. Her heart was still broken. It was so sad to see. Kim did everything she could, but Maureve was lost. And it was sad because I heard how Maureve was, and I didn't know that Maureve. I just knew Maureve as sweet little old lady, my only parent left. Stanley had handled all their finances. His financial planners were instructed on how to handle all their future finances. That didn't happen. The day after Stanley had passed, Maureve started to use her long-term care insurance. The agency worked 6 hours a day, charged Maureve 24 hours a day. This went on for months. The financial abuse continued over the years by several predators. Maureve and Kim weren't aware of any of this. When I met their bookkeeper, I just knew something shady was going on. And then out of the blue, after a week or two that Kim and I were together, she says to Kim, "Don't tell Brian about the family finances." Again, Kim and Maureve's mind worked therapy. Their minds didn't work financially. When she said that, I knew something was definitely going on. Again, I was new. I didn't want to take charge right away, but they had plans to go to Florida March of 22, COVID. I went down. They were down there for the month. I went down the last 10, 11 days. When I expressed my concerns about their finances, they gave me access to their bank accounts, which was a huge struggle for that girl to give up the passwords. My intuition was correct. She had been stealing from them from the beginning. In the end, she was awarded 2 felonies. Maureve was heartbroken all over again, putting all of her trust. I mean, the girl looked in her eyes and was, "You're like my mother. I love you." I had a business in helping elderly, and I know how rampant that can be and how easy it is to steal from someone. Maureve, some people may seem like they deserve it. Maureve was the kindest, sweetest person and just very naive. But I had told her, I'll never be able to replace Stanley, but I assured her from that day forward, she will be loved and taken care of, and no one will ever take advantage of them again. Kim had promised Stanley that she'd always take care of Mom. 3 months later, in July, we met in January, so 6, 7 months later, now we got Mom living with us. We decided it would be better if she came to live with us, and Kim definitely fulfilled that promise to Stanley and much more. Maureve always saw me as her Prince Charming. She called me Prince Charming, and I was just like, okay, Prince Charming. And then after she started to get, not the Maureve that we all know, I started to analyze, and I was like, she really did think that I was her Prince Charming. I came and saved the family. I saved Kim. I told her she worried about Kim like my mother worried about me, but maybe even more. And I told her that she never has to worry about her little Kim anymore, that's taken care of too. She was definitely at peace when I got involved in the family. We had great times. Kim told Stan, we'll go on trips, we'll travel. We did everything we did in the 5 years with Maureve. It was the three of us. That was it. Whatever we did, she did. It's a tremendous loss for all of us. And Maureve, we love you. Maureve used to tell me when my parents had passed, she goes, "I talked to your mom today. Your dad doesn't like to say much. I try to talk to him too." And again, our family wasn't a therapy family. Knew nothing about it. And then when I met them and we were hanging out, I was like, oh my God, 2 therapists are going to be analyzing me now. When my mom had passed, Kim tried to talk to my dad, and he knew what was going on. He'd give his little smirk and be like, "Not going to work, Kim." I never knew about therapy, and to me it was just like, you're crazy if you need to see a therapist. And after being with a therapy family and spying in on some of Kim's sessions, I saw how valuable it was. She was as good as her mother. And she's going to truly be missed. And I knew in 2020 when we moved her in and her living room was the bedroom, that at some day we're going to be walking down those stairs and she wasn't going to be there anymore. It's tough. We'll get through it.
Good job.
Love you. Okay, I made it. Thank you.
O God of life, amid the ceaseless tides of change which sweep away the generations, your love remains to comfort us and to give us hope. Around us are life and death, decay and renewal, the flowing rhythm that all things obey. Our life is a dance to a song that we cannot hear. Its melody courses through us for a little while, then it seems to cease. Whence the melody, and whither does it go? In darkness as in light, we turn to you, the source of life and the answer to all of life's mysteries. As you are able, I invite you to rise now for the El Mole Rachamim. El Mole Rachamim, Shochem Bamromim, Hamtzei Menucha Nechona Tachat Kanfei HaShechina, Im Kadoshim Utahorim Kazohar HaRakia Mazhirim, Et Nishmat Yakirenu Shahacha LaOlama, Bala Rachamim Yastireo B'Sefer Kanafav LaOlamim, V'Yitzror B'Tzror HaChayim Et Nishmata, Adonai Hu Nachalata V'Tanuach Shalom Al Mishkava V'Nomar Amen. Compassionate God, eternal Spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence to Maureve Goldhamer, our loved one who has entered eternity. O God of mercy, let her find refuge in the shadow of your wings, and let her soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. God is her inheritance. May she rest in peace, and let us say together, Amen. You may be seated. I want to announce that the family of Maureve Goldhamer will receive friends at the residence of Howard and Donna Sperber. The address, 28401 Cambridge Lane in Pepper Pike. They will receive friends today from 4 o'clock until 8 o'clock in the evening. Once again, thank you so much for being here with the family. Again, I hope you know how much your presence means to the family at a difficult time like this. Our service will continue now at graveside at the Mayfield Cemetery.
You want to